That was fun.
It's your boy Bill Lee, and you are getting to know me with the fabulous, amazing, awesome Keya Miche. We right here in Madiba, good old Harlem.
So we just had some pretty dope food.
Really dope food.
Really, really dope food. What did you think about Madiba?
It is, the space is great. Like, I just love the concept behind it. And the food matched the concept, but the food was absolutely amazing. So,
I mean, you're a big foodie.
Big food.
I know some things can't compare to all the different places you've been to, you know, on your Be Starving page. Shout out to your Be Starving Instagram page. How do you try to find time to fit all this food into all the different things that you do?
Food is a part of my life. And so, if you want to see me happy, put some good food in front of my face, and I'm going to be pretty much excited.
So you are the definition of a way to a man's heart is through his stomach. Okay, fair enough.
And I cook too, so
you do cook.
I can get to my own heart when I need to. You best believe it, brother. Get to his own heart.
I can't.
New York is one of those places. It's like, for me, it's like the mecca of food. You know, it's all kinds of food. Wherever you want to find it, it's going to be here on every corner. So, love New York for the food. Top 5 food places: Las Vegas, Miami, Chicago, New York, Boston.
Really?
Those are my top 5.
Okay.
And Boston is probably one of the people will be like Boston. But if you
I'm a little bit surprised that that's on that list.
If you've ever been to Boston, you'll realize that Boston is just as diverse in their food as Chicago is.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've been to Boston and I've had some of the best Jamaican food in Boston.
I'm a little bit biased about that. Okay, because I was about to say I'm a little bit biased about that. I don't really know how. I can't. You're an amazing photographer, and like I said, you're up here for Fashion Week. Tell me how that even happened.
2012, I was doing a shoot in my studio back home in D.C. and one of my clients, a stylist, was a ghostwriter, fashion journalist for USA Today.
Okay.
And shout out to Troy Artist. And we got to rapping, and he was like, "Yeah, man, you know, I'm always looking to, you know, have a photographer with me when I go to Fashion Week." And I was like, "All right, cool." And he hit me up, and so I ended up shooting Fashion Week, Mercedes Fashion Week.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And it was like one of the most. It was literally one of the greatest experiences. Like, you're sitting there in a pit with like Vogue, Harper's Bazaar, you know, any and every major, and there I was, building photography. You know? And the thing about Fashion Week that I love is that when you're in there, everybody thinks you belong. You just gotta believe that you belong.
Well, you definitely dress the part because you're all about fashion too.
I do a little something, you know.
Oh please. Oh please. No, now you want to be modest. Now you want to be modest. Okay, we get. But I really do enjoy your fashion. I particularly love your self-portraits. What inspired you to show yourself in your different fashion sense?
Honestly, the way I started doing self-portraits was just because I'm a believer that if you're not shooting, you're not getting better.
Okay.
And so I would always practice my own light on myself.
Oh wow.
Because then that would allow me to know exactly what I wanted to do when I was with clients. They
right.
just have different options. And so the way to do that is to shoot yourself.
Really?
So I started just doing it as a kind of just get better in my own craft.
Okay.
And then I started realizing that I kind of like being in front of the camera more than I thought.
You do.
And now everybody is looking forward to Self-Portrait Mondays.
I do love your self-portraits. I'm not even going to lie. It's my favorite. And then you also did a special project. You did 2 special projects. The first one was about breast cancer awareness.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
My cousin Shelly passed away from breast cancer about 12 years ago.
Oh wow, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, she was my favorite cousin, so hopefully none of my other cousins see this interview.
Oh no, oh no.
But I love me some Shelly, and she, the thing that I think that kind of hurt the most was that she didn't let anybody know that she had breast cancer.
Wow.
And so I literally didn't find out that she had breast cancer until a week before she died.
Oh wow.
And so I felt like I didn't get to celebrate her being a survivor for as long as she was a survivor.
Right.
And I always said I wanted to do something, and this year I just was like, I want to do a project geared towards celebrating those who are survivors of breast cancer, whether it's for 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years, 20 years.
Okay.
And literally that's what ended up happening. We had people who had just found out they had breast cancer, and then we had folks who had been surviving breast cancer for over 20 years or so.
Okay.
It was really, it was great, but it was almost like my memorial celebration
for
to
her.
Cousin Shelly.
And then you did another project, which I love. What was that about?
The 42nd project is so funny because the way it came about is when I turned 42, I just kind of had this revelation that I was going to be comfortable with who I was.
Okay.
And so I came up with the project of if you had 5 words to describe who you were, what those things would be without other people defining you, like how you see yourself. And it didn't have to be, and it was great because it wasn't really so much that it even had to be affirmations. It could have been that you were lazy, but you accepted, that you're lazy. And so we did a project where literally we would just have that stuff written on different parts of people's body, and because then you own it. I always feel like, putting something on you makes you own it.
Okay.
And so it was almost this thing of like owning it. This is who I am. This is who I've, become comfortable with, and even things about me that I may not like. If I own it, I can change it. I think that we spend a lot of time throughout life trying to fit everybody's perception of who they think we should be.
Okay.
And so I think that when you own who you are and you're comfortable with who you are, it helps you to be genuine and authentic and to accept, your flaws as well as the things that you're perfecting, your strengths as well as your weaknesses, because at the end of the day, that's what makes us who we are.
Is that one of the reasons why you finally stepped into owning your passion for photography?
I don't know. I think that I've been blessed to have different gifts, and I've also been blessed to have the opportunity to express all of those gifts.
Okay.
I'm just a firm believer that whatever gifts you have, you use all of them to the fullest. If God didn't want me to be a photographer, He wouldn't have allowed me to see how I see things.
Okay.
If He didn't want me to be a foodie, He wouldn't have made my palette the way it is.
I don't know if you can. I don't know if you want to blame God for the reason why you.
Foodie. And even as a minister, I don't. None of them limit me, but all of them help me be who I am.
Well, you do seem like a person who lives in His truth every single day.
That's right.
Aside from your self-photography, what other things do you do to keep yourself inspired and to find new things to shoot?
Man, I think that a lot of times it just comes to me, and I mean honestly, I'll say I think a lot of times God will just kind of share or whisper something to me. Like the 42nd project wasn't something that I necessarily thought of. It was almost like something I felt God whispered to me.
Okay.
Same with the breast cancer awareness, and even just around photography in general. Like I'm working on a project right now around homelessness.
Oh wow.
I feel like God kind of just whispered that that's the next thing He wanted me to do. I'm always trying to do, what I call inspired photography.
Okay.
So even though I, of course, shoot a lot of people, because that's how we make the money.
Sometimes you gotta make your money.
But at the same time, I try to do things that inspire me, and that's my way of doing it. Just kind of listening to God, because God always kind of shared it to me in a way that
He does have that way of getting to us through our passions.
Yeah.
He really does. So for new photographers, young photographers who are trying to get to the point where they're not just finding new subjects to shoot, but get to the point where they can be recognized and have their art seen across the world, how would you tell them to go about doing that?
And just shoot.
Just shoot.
Like, one, I grew up off of film. So
Okay.
For me, I always feel like if you want to really be good at what you do, you ought to know what you're doing.
Okay.
And I think digital photography could sometimes make everybody a photographer, you know, because they can just look at the back of their screen and be like, oh, that's a dope shot, but really not know how they got the shot, you know. And so for me, part of really being honest to the craft is like knowing what you're doing.
Okay.
But outside of that, just shoot. You know, that's one of the great pieces of advice or wisdom that one of my photography mentors gave me when I first started shooting. You know, and the more you shoot, the better you'll get. So if I had to tell them anything, you should always have your camera on. You should always find a subject somewhere. Like there's always something you can shoot, always something you can see. And even when you don't have your camera, shoot it with your eyes and your mind. You know.
Well, thank you so much, Bill, for sitting with me. I really, really appreciate it. And I appreciate your company.
Oh, man.
And the good food and laughs.
And thanks for making me feel old.
What?
For y'all who don't know.
Oh my God, don't tell people.
No, I'm going to tell them.
Why you have to tell them? It's not their business.
Those who
I'm about to
don't
cut
know.
this off.
No, don't cut it off. Don't cut it off. She reminded me, because can I be honest, y'all?
Okay.
She hit me up on Instagram. She's like, I want to interview you coming up to New York. And I didn't know who it was. I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Trifling.
And she tried to make me feel bad. But then when I get, she says, yeah, 15 years ago. You came
That's
to
irrelevant.
Temple
That's irrelevant.
and did workshops
That's not.
for me as a young person.
That's not. That's
Thanks
not
for
important.
making me feel great about my
Oh, you're
age,
welcome. That's what I'm here for.
40.
But look at the blessing you sowed in my life.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying? This is full circle here.
oh God.
Look at won't he do it? Won't he? I can't with you. I cannot. But thank you so much. I really appreciate you.
Appreciate you.